right, hello guys. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome to another masterclass session of the Core at HTU series of masterclasses with Tim. You all probably know Tim, so I'm not going to be wasting more time introducing Tim. For those who don't know about Tim's, background experience, you can check the description, whether on LinkedIn or the invitation that have been sent to you. Today's session is about unlocking exponential revenue growth, tactics, landscape. So Tim, without further ado.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Razek, for the introduction. And better I take it on because your internet is a bit choppy. Hi, everybody. It's the last masterclass, but not the least. And we're gonna have some also deep dive sessions. Don't forget about the deep dive. The deep dive is gonna be all about you, all about your companies. We're gonna spend time on your actual use cases, and it's not just gonna be me talking the whole time. Because as you know, the masterclasses, it's me talking the whole time. I love to talk, as you can understand that I'm extroverted and I love to chat. When I go to a party, I do chat, and after a while, I get tired, and then I'm like, okay, I go home because I can't chat anymore. But I hope that I don't chat a lot of crap, and I'm just teaching you and sharing my knowledge with you guys. That's always my focus. One of my core mission, vision, value, whatever you want to call it in life, is to share everything I learn. Okay, and I will always do this because I love to learn. And 10 years ago, 15 years ago, people would say, don't share everything you learn, keep it secret and stuff like that. I did have that mindset for a bit, and then I realized that's silly, because I'm always learning something new. And if I share, and by sharing what I learn with you guys, that really helps me even learn it better, because teaching is the best way to learn, actually, right? So I learn it and I teach it, and then I know that becomes one of my core skill sets, and then I go for the next thing, right? So today is very interesting because it's something that it's a very new thing for me as well in the past year. Okay, so all the growth subjects, the product-led subjects, all that we've been doing in the first 3 master classes, they've been my bread and butter for many years, right? I've helped 30, 35, whatever startups. I don't even know the number anymore because I keep helping them all the time. So it must have passed 40, 50. I don't know. I'll have to count one day. But this topic is new for me. Why? Because back in the day, when I was quite a young professional, I was a salesman, and then I became a marketer, and then growth, blah blah blah. But now what I've realized is actually, everybody knows outbound, everybody knows inbound, right? If you don't know, stop me. But outbound is to outreach and go find the people, and inbound is doing content and stuff, and people come to you, right? I think that outbound is dead, and inbound is not as strong anymore because there's a lot of content out there. There's a lot of whatever you do, there's another 10, 15, 20 companies or blogs or courses or cohorts or YouTube videos or thought leaders. There's so much out there that kind of gives the same topics as your topic most of the time, right? So the combination of outbound and inbound is where the last year I've been spending some time. About exactly, I think in a week's time, it's going to be 1 year that I've joined Task Drive. At Task Drive, I was first the growth consultant, then I became the chief growth officer, and about 6 months later, I became the CEO of the company. So now I'm the CEO of Task Drive. And as the CEO of Task Drive, why did I become the CEO? Or I don't know the reasons why, but it's more because I had this vision of mixing inbound and outbound. Task Drive was an outbound company doing sales outsourcing for our clients. And what we've done now is that we've combined some other services to make it a outbound and inbound mix, right? We call it a bit of a fully orchestrated revenue growth strategy, right? So what you're going to learn today, it's really something that we've been delivering for the last year for many companies in a lot of different stages, from huge companies of 400, 500 people, to companies of 30 to 10 to 30 people or whatever, right? So we have a diverse portfolio of companies size-wise. But it does work in every industry. It does work in every type of product services, what I'm going to show you today, okay? But you have to be very careful, and please note that you have to be very careful on your resources, okay? Because if your average revenue per account is under $6,000 a year, right, you're going to struggle to find return on investment on having salespeople doing outbound. Does that make sense? Yeah. So just be careful on your return on investment when I'm showing you this thing. Okay. Always calculate your return on investment, what you're spending, what you're getting, your customer acquisition cost and stuff like that. But the strategy, I think it's very, very innovative. And yeah, we've been really selling this quite well. So you're gonna hear a bit about Task Drive today. It's not promotional, you know. Rezek knows I'm never here to promote anything. Okay, I'm here to share everything I know. But today, as I mentioned, for the past year, it's been a product, a service that we've been designing at Task Drive that I'm gonna share with you. Okay, cool. All right, let me share my screen. Let's see if my screen is working. All right, is my screen working for everybody? Thumbs up. Yeah, awesome. Cool. So we're going to talk about mastering growth, mastering revenue growth. Okay. I know the session is called a little bit different, but it's the same thing. So don't worry about it. Okay. The session is called actually Unlocking Exponential Revenue Growth, Innovative Tactics for Today's Competitive Landscape with Tim Cakir. Okay. So that's exactly what we're going to look at. Okay. We're going to master the revenue growth system. And, you know, take notes, ask questions. This is going to be an interesting one in my opinion, because it's not the topics that you will find very easily out there. You will find a bunch of the topics, but not combined together. And I think the combination is what makes this a system. Okay, there are many different processes, many different types of campaigns that makes a system. All right. Cool. Well, let's kick it off. Okay. All right, so the key points that we're going to talk about and what's going to happen is, you know, discovering your ideal customers and understanding their needs and behavior. And I've mentioned this on product-led growth. I mentioned this on growth on every masterclass, and I'm going to mention on every deep dive. If you don't know who you're selling to, you're in trouble, right? And you can't tell me, oh, I'm selling to 25 to 35-year-olds in Jordan, right? No, you can't say that. You have to say, what's their pain point? Right? Yeah, you have to say, okay, they're having issues with XYZ. They're looking for these types of solutions, and this is how we serve them. You know, it's a very important thing to know. Okay, we're gonna identify and prioritize your most promising prospects, so you're gonna learn how to do this. Okay, and what I also recommend is taking notes, asking yourselves questions, then go with these questions, and then come to the deep dive session, because the deep dive session we're actually gonna build a system for you. Okay, with you, for you. All right. You know, optimizing your website for maximum conversions. That's going to be a little bit more generic, but I think it's very important because people do forget that. And we did mention in product-led growth, if you were there, about the friction audit. If you remember the friction audit can also be done for your website. Okay. Connect with your prospect and customers on a personal level. Okay. I do not believe in mass outbound and mass emailing and mass spamming people. Okay, those days are gone. They used to be okay, but now they are really no. All right, so it's not about the quantity anymore, it's about the quality really of who you're targeting. Track your progress and adjust your strategies as needed. Anyways, these are a bit generic. So this time I have a lot of text because I've always promised Nadine to share the slides with you, but when I share the slides with you without me, it doesn't make sense because it's just words or is visual. So now I'm having a little bit more text so that you can keep this as a document for yourselves. Okay. So this is going to be a bit more of a document. When I don't present, this actually becomes a document. Okay. So that you can have it as a website, as a page, and as a document. So I won't read everything, but I'll just tell you very quickly. The thing about why does revenue growth matters? I mean, it's a silly question, isn't it? It matters because you have to pay salaries. It matters because you want food. It matters maybe you have families, you know, it does matter, right? But it's not just that, right? It matters because for a long-term healthy company and to have a competitive advantage, you really have to have a very clear revenue growth strategy, system, plan, process, whatever you want to call it. Okay. We said about the competitive landscape, and that's what in the title as well, and that's very important. As I mentioned in the beginning, this is why I started like that. There is a lot of people do very similar stuff as you. Yeah. But you can be very different by making sure that you're getting to these people, okay, that to your ideal customer profile, yeah, to your ICP. Okay. So I call it our revenue growth system because I've not seen it anywhere else at the moment. We offer this. And hopefully, not hopefully, I do hope, I really do extra hope that you're gonna get this into your companies, because if you do, you will see clear, repetitive, and predictable growth. Okay, and predictable growth is one of the keywords here as well. Yazan, yes, let's start questions. I love when Yazan's here.
Just a quick question.
Can I hear you a bit clearer though? Can you get close to your mic?
Yeah,
If
can you know?
it's a little bit quiet, but
Okay, just 1 second.
yeah, you were a little bit better earlier. Yeah,
Hello?
let's try again.
Can you hear me now?
A little bit better, yeah.
Okay. So again, there's a continuous question regarding revenue and net profit. You know, okay, we're always seeking to achieve higher revenues, but in the recent few years, you're seeing a lot of companies, they're doing higher revenue growth, but at the end of the day, they're losing money. And how can we apply, like what's preferred nowadays for investors, EBITDA or revenue? And if I don't want to focus on revenue because it will impact and jeopardize my net profit or even my gross profit in certain cases, do you still recommend to keep on focusing on the revenue growth?
Well, that's a great question, yes, and I think we could debate this for hours and hours and be here together and invite some VCs and go crazy at this topic if you want. But yeah, you know, I think I've mentioned this, but my mindset and my philosophy has changed a lot, Yazan, in the past, I think, year or so. Because I've always worked for VC-backed companies, right? For startups with investment. It's the first time the last year that I'm working and I'm owning a fully bootstrapped company. TaskDrive is fully bootstrapped. AI Operator is fully bootstrapped. My business partner, David Hensel's 9 other companies are fully bootstrapped. Every company is fully bootstrapped. And one thing that he taught me, I love him as a business partner. He taught me one thing, and that was one of the things that changed my life. He said, profits first. He said, just focus on profit, right? So revenue or EBITDA, whatever you want, profit, right? Profit is the name of the game. I think he told me that was exactly what he said. Because if you're profitable, you don't even need VCs. If you're profitable, you can take whatever money you want from anybody you want, right? Because if you're profitable, everybody will throw money at you, right? So we do forget. I mean, I know that some of your companies here are very, very innovative, right? You do need a budget to develop and so on, right? But you can always think about what is the MVP, right? Can you make our money out of the MVP? Right, and you can, and we forgot this mindset because just before COVID, until COVID, until even mid COVID, and towards the end COVID, if you guys remember, we've been brainwashed in investment and money and stocks and loans and you know and take money. There was so much money in the world, right? And now it's the opposite, isn't it? Now it's that, oh, everybody now is very scared, and it's like, oh, there's not much money and let's not invest, let's be careful and stuff. So the mindset shift is what's very important in my opinion. And before I get to Rezek's question or involvement in the topic, the thing is that even before COVID, the last 6-7 years, this company has been bootstrapped. And all the other companies have been bootstrapped. And I do believe that's a very successful entrepreneur, because you can make your own decisions, Yazan, right? You can make your own calls, and you can be much faster. Because as you know, when you have investors, things slow down a lot. And in this landscape, in this competitive landscape, and in these tough times, you know, the name of the game is profit, but it's also speed. You know, it's being able to be super agile, be lean. COVID hits. What are we gonna do, right? COVID hit. Oh, let's sit with our investors and let's strategize. And then 3 months later, you're still strategizing, right? So you have to be careful about that. So check out if you have a way of making even $29 a month per client. you know, and get a bunch of them in just one feature, in just one little pain that you're solving. And people will pay you for it. If you're solving a pain, you know, they will pay you for it. And that money, you know, can really take you very, very far, if that makes sense. Yes. But I'm sure Rezek has something to add or to ask, so I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. I mean, you probably have left me with really a lot of room to add. But yes, and it's the chicken or egg question, revenue or profit. And my take is always probably different than others, because I always say to startups, especially at the beginning, it's revenue. Because when you're generating revenue, the profit matter is secondary, because he can solve it through operational efficiencies, you can solve it through restructuring, you can solve it through capital structures, different capital structures, or credit facilities, or. But revenue is the key aspect for you and for your growth. A. B, I can give you probably 10 examples of unicorns who exited without being profitable.
100%.
But there is a path to profitability. Okay, so we have to balance out the equation to focus on revenue, yet showcase to investors and VCs that I have a path to profitability. So I'd say at the very beginning, focus on generating revenue. That would be my recommendation.
And I'm gonna go another extra layer. Don't even focus on revenue or profit. Focus on solving a pain point. You know, focus on delivering real value. Because if you're delivering real value and you're charging $29, as we said, and the value is there and everybody loves you, and then you suddenly say, I'm going to charge $290, 10x, they'll still pay you. Right? So you're not profitable. You're charging 29, you're burning 50K a month, let's say, right? And then suddenly you're like, hey guys, I'm increasing my prices. If you have been solving this pain point and you're really integrated in the companies, you know, into your client's company, you can make the money you want, because people will give money, you know. And this is, you remember what I was saying about product-led growth is the vitamin and the painkiller. If you're a vitamin now, they'll be like, oh, you're too expensive, I go somewhere else. If you're a painkiller, they will pay. All right, so I think that's important to remember. But also, I think, Rezek, what I would love to add here is also, what is your strategy? You know, what is your vision? You know, I know that when you're an accelerator and so on, is, you know, to exit. All right, you want to build something in 3 to 5 years, you're going to exit. All right, great. But you know, my business partner and his 9 companies, 10 companies now, we're starting the 10th one. He doesn't want to exit them. He just wants monthly revenue. All right. So, you know, and 10 companies of monthly revenue of, I don't even want to say the numbers, you know, it's, you know, you can live very happily ever after, you know, and especially if you put CEOs in the companies and so on, and you are a strategy person, you know, you come to strategical meetings and so on, you would live happily ever after. Right. And cash flow is what was it? Cash flow is king. I don't know, is queen, whatever. Right. Cash flow is very, very important. So it's really to see that. And, you know, again, you know, with Rezek and I, we could speak about this here and bang each other's heads on talking about this. And I say it in a nice way, he knows, is because I was the same as you guys, you know, accelerator, incubators, you know, startups, massive investments, VCs and stuff like that. But again, that mindset, I've changed a lot in the past year. And I am liking this, because I've seen startups, I've seen a lot of startups, I've seen exits, I've had shares in a lot of startups as well. Am I happy about it? Yes, absolutely. But do I love seeing the revenue, the profits every month, every quarter? Wow. I can just tell you that. You know, that makes me even happier that I don't have to answer to an investor. As the CEO of the company, I can take whatever decision I want whenever I want. You know, and that's for me is very liberating.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Razak. I think it's a hybrid, maybe, because one of the latest examples that we have seen most recently in KSA with Hunger Station. They were losing up to the last 4 years where they've started to become profitable. Meanwhile, their other competitor, Jahez, has been profitable for the past 10 years. So yeah, I guess maybe your inputs are crucially important, and I think it's gonna be a hybrid system, case by case, a year by year, and a quarter by quarter, I guess.
Yeah,
Thank you.
100%, Yazan. And just to add one other thing is, companies will be exited, or merger and acquisitions for X, Y, Z reasons, right? One of the X reasons is because they want the technology. One of the Y reasons is they want the people. One of the Z reason is they want the customers, right? And according to that, they will care if it's profitable or not anyways, right? They might be like, your technology is amazing. You're not profitable. I don't care. I'm taking your technology. I'm taking your developers. I'm taking your product people, your vision, and I'm putting it inside my company. And I'm already profitable. Job done, right? I know people, I did give this example. I was in Mykonos in a SaaS stock founders retreat. I'm not going to say names of who, but because I can't. It's sensitive and confidential information. But people have exited their companies over $750 million, and they took 10% of it. Were they profitable? No. But the company that bought it is in a bigger company, that wanted that team, that wanted that technology inside their own company. So you can also build, I know people that are building companies to sell it to a company. Right? They're like, I'm building this startup because I'm going to sell it to this company. And their whole strategy is to sell it to that company. And you'll be impressed. And they do that. They work 3 years, their ass off, and they sell it to that company. So it's really, what do you want to do? What is your mission? What is your vision? What's your values? Make sure that's clear, guys. Because if that's clear, every decision, shall we be profitable? Shall we cut down burn? Shall we cut down costs? Shall we be more efficient? That those questions and those answers will become much easier to come across when you have this mission, vision, values. Yeah, cool. So, and also just to iterate, the revenue growth, it also includes customer satisfaction, because if you have customer satisfaction, your revenue will grow because they'll upsell, they'll cross-sell, they'll renew, and so on. And before that, though, I think I should change this. Employee satisfaction is even more important, because if your employees are not satisfied, they can't satisfy your customers. But if your employees are satisfied, they can satisfy your customers. Yeah, something to think about. Okay. Cool. So as you can see in this little wheel, some call it the wheel, some call it the flywheel. I don't know. Everybody calls it something else. My business partner calls it the lead magnet, not the lead engine, sorry. I call it the revenue growth system. Okay. So this is exactly what we do at Task Drive, but you can do this yourself. Okay. Or you can get somebody at Task Drive to do it for you, or you can have different agencies and different people to do different parts of it. How you do it is not the thing, is what you do with it. Okay. So the consulting piece, that's very Task Drive, don't worry about that. But the research piece is very important. As I've mentioned, if you want to sell to a company that you already have a strategy in 3 years, I'm going to sell to this company. You want to make sure that you're already getting those clients that company cares about, because they're gonna buy you. So you have to really research your ICP, your ideal customer profile, really, really, really well. You should pinpoint the whatever number of companies that you wanted to be your clients, and who in these companies will be the decision makers, and who is going to sign the deal with your company. Yeah. So that's really one of the core things, the research piece. And I was so in marketing the last, I don't know how many years, that I forgot about this. We're like, let's create content and hope that something comes in, and so on, right? But now I'm like, okay, no, where are the people that we want to be our clients? You can find them. You can say these people here in this country, in this company, these names of people can be our customers. Okay. and do that piece, the lead research, market research, whatever you want to call it. Okay. So back in the day when we did outbound, right, we had the research piece and we had the outreach, right? And then this is cold leads because they've never heard about you, right? Can you see my mouse when I drag it on top? I don't know. Yeah, okay, awesome, thank you. So the research piece, you know, was cold, and then you had spamming people and calling them and sending them emails and sending them LinkedIn messages. You know, we all get these messages, right? These spams, you know, and we don't even know about the company. Like, I just got it yesterday. Hey, blah, blah, blah. And it's another lead research company. And it's like, really? Like, you didn't even research me because I do the same things, you know? So that was really bad. So what we've brought in, what I brought in the past year is to warm up, to be able to warm up those cold leads, right? So with technologies like AdRoll, if you guys know AdRoll, it's an advertisement platform, right? There is a few other technologies like that. You can actually put a list of contacts of emails, okay, and target these people with ads, okay? And there is no problem with GDPR or things like that, and I'll tell you why. Because when you put these email addresses, it takes a week or 2 weeks for AdRoll to identify these people. They identify these people with a user ID. Okay, with the user ID of, you know, Rezek visited this website, and in these websites there was an AdRoll pixel because AdRoll is one of the most popular advertisement platforms. Okay, and suddenly it starts putting that email address and putting it in to an ID. It connects it to an ID. Okay, and then it's able to serve ads to these people. Okay, so your ad budgets can be much lower because you are not serving ads to 1 million of people and hoping that it's the right people in the demographics and so on. You're actually serving ads to the people that you've researched, that you've pinpointed, that you've researched. You know, these 10,000 people can be your client, and you're showing ads to them, you know? So suddenly you are much more targeted, right? You are very, very focused, you know? I mean, sometimes we say this, which I don't like because I'm anti-guns, but it's the sniper rifle method. You know, instead of going with a machine gun and going, you're going with a sniper, you're finding the right person and you're hitting that target. You know, don't take me word for word what I'm saying, you know, because, you know, I am absolutely anti-guns, okay? I am all Mother Nature and stuff. I'm not as hippie, but, you know, almost. I love technology, so I can't be that hippie. But you see what I mean, right? So that's very important, and this is why the research piece is crucial. Then you pre-target these people, you're warming them up. They see your brand, okay? If they see, I'm gonna say the name, but let's see if it's correct. Boxe, is it Boxe? Yeah. Oh, is it? Okay, cool. Because the I wasn't sure to go Boxe, you know. So Boxe, right? So they start seeing Boxe, and they see it for a couple of weeks, and then somebody somehow reaches out to them, right? Or something happens on their digital life that they see Boxe, and they're like, oh yeah, I've been seeing you around. You know, I know you for the last couple of weeks, right? Even if they don't say that or they don't remember it, it's a psychological effect. Yeah, this is why billboards are not that efficient when you think about it, but they are, because the day that company tells you something, you're like, oh, I know you. You don't remember from where, but you were in the traffic and you were driving and you saw that billboard and you were bored. You're like, oh yeah, and you didn't care. But that's went to your subconscious, and you do have that image there in your minds, right? And then when they reach out to you with the name or the image or the logo and stuff, it just appears again in your head. You're like, oh, you know, it's like a deja vu as well effect. Okay. So I was pitching a client a while back, 6 months ago, and I love what he said. I don't know, have you guys watched the movie Focus by Will Smith? Yeah. Do you remember? So he bets with this billionaire gambler, right? And he says, I'm gonna guess the number that you think. What does he do the whole time? He shows him the number, right? And the person doesn't know that he's seen the number. You know, he's seen the number everywhere in the airport, in the billboards, and here in the menu. He keeps seeing the number, right? And Will Smith has done a whole strategy to show him the number. It's like the pre-targeting. He's pre-targeting this person with the number, right? And then when the person comes, He says, that's the number you're thinking. And it's like, how can you think that? Well, you've been seeing this number. I psychologically put that number in your head. So when a prospect told me this, I was like, well, man, you got the story right, you know, and I didn't think about that. So it's the same thing, you know, you show boxe, and you say, unbox the taste of home, unbox the taste of home. And then suddenly the day comes that they see it and they're like, oh, of course, they are the taste of home, right? Bam, psychological. Okay. So brand awareness, you know, and all that, you know, it comes to hand in hand with all this stuff, but pre-targeting is actually, in my opinion, warming up the cold leads. Okay, because when I reach out to them, they know a little bit better about you already somehow. Then we have the next here, right? This is a technology that we're using of a partner, and this is a visitor identification. So you do have technologies like Happier Leads, a Lead Feeder, Albatross. Was it Albatross? Yeah, Albatross, I think. There's a few other on like this that I can share in the deep dives. We could decide what's better for you. But these technologies are little pixels on your website, okay, that can identify who is coming to your site. For security reasons and GDPR and privacy, they don't identify exactly if it's Neda that came to your website, but they will identify saying that somebody from Boxe came to your website, right? And then Sahar comes into your website and says, oh, 2 persons from Boxe came to your site, okay? And they've been visiting the last week 7 times, 8 times. They've spent this much time on your website, right? So suddenly you're able to look at this traffic. You can't identify the whole thing, by the way. Lead Feeder was about 15 to 20% of the traffic. Happier Leads about 30 to 40%. So I say 35% of your B2B traffic that can be identified. And you identify these, you make the list, you can see the list, you can filter it according to your ideal customer profile to make sure that you're not gonna get the people that you don't care about or the companies that doesn't fit what you're selling. But then suddenly you come out with, let's say, 50 companies that have been visiting your website in the last week that, you know, out of these 50 people, if 50 companies, 25, 30 of them are your ideal customer profile, let's say. All right. So you can target those right away because they've been seeing you. So maybe they didn't fill up a form, right? They didn't do any of that stuff. But you can message them. You know, I do this sometimes. It's funny. I do it myself sometimes, even if I have 50 people. And I see a company was in my site. I go on LinkedIn, I add the CEO, and I send them a message. I say, hey, I've seen that you guys are looking at my website. I've had some people say, like, how do you know? Like, yeah, I was on your website just yesterday or today, earlier. So yeah, well, I know a few things. Would you like to do the same thing for you? It's like, I'd love that. That's a sell. So it's interesting to understand as well who comes to your site, because when you look at Google Analytics and other analytics things, you don't really pinpoint, you know, if it's your ideal customer profile or not. You see gender, you see age groups, you know, some interest maybe, but you don't really see what's the domain of the company and so on. And that really helps a lot in prioritizing which leads you want to tackle. Okay, and then all this gets given to the outreach. Okay, the outreach is your old school outbound. Okay, you know, phone calls, email, LinkedIn messages, and so on. But it doesn't have to be old school anymore, right? We have a lot of great AI stuff. We have a lot of amazing things. And one little tip that I'll give you here is, if you do know already these people that you're gonna reach out to, you can take it a little bit slower and you can go to their LinkedIn and see if they're posting something. You can comment on it. You can like what they're doing. You can start following them, right? And spend a bit of time getting to know them, or let them get to know you further before you start selling to them. Okay. And most of the time, if you do that well, and it's exactly the ICP, and they do have the pain point and you are the solution, they're going to tell you, they're going to say, oh, Tim, oh my God, I was looking for something like that. You know, can we have a chat? You're like, of course. So what happened is that the inbound and outbound is mixed here. You see, we've done some outbound to get some inbound. Okay. Most companies out there that I know will have marketing doing inbound, sales doing outbound. All right. And they have nothing orchestrated. You know, Sahar knows, she agrees in that. You know, they have nothing orchestrated. So they're all going in different lanes and everybody's trying to get MQLs, SQLs, blah, 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 right? But if you would combine these teams and you would say, all right, we're going to do these touch points, then we're going to do a bit of outbound, then we're going to wait for them to come. That's going to be our inbound leads and so on. And you didn't care that much inbound, outbound, but you care about revenue growth, right? You will start seeing actual magic. You know, and of course, personalize your outreach. If you're gonna do, we're gonna talk about that in a minute. But the idea is, you know, you want appointments. Okay. Maybe you're a sign-up business, you know, free trial, freemium business. That's where I said be careful about return on investment, because you might not want salespeople doing this because it's gonna cost you a lot of money. But if you are selling, I remember a couple of people here that are selling big kind of technologies that cost quite a lot of money, and there's proof of concepts and stuff like that. Then you 100% you want to get appointments. Okay. So not every strategy is for you, but there's a lot that you can learn from these strategies and mold it to what's going to work for you. Yeah. Okay, awesome. Let me see. Oh, that doesn't change. Here we go. Well, I've said it, I'll repeat it a little bit because I think it's important. You know, I am going to change the priority of this. The employee satisfaction should be first, in my opinion, because if employees are happy, you're paying them well, right? Because you have good revenue coming and so on. They'll make sure your customers are happy, right? And if customers are happy, you're growing again. You can get more money. Customers are also amazing, because we spoke on product-led growth as well a bit. Is about, you know, referrals, or we talk, I think, in growth loops and stuff. You know, referrals are the best way. You know, right now at Task Drive, my best channel is referrals. You know, we do so well with so many clients that they'll say, hey, I met this other person, or my friend is running this company and I think they need your services, and they'll introduce me. And most of the time a referral comes from a recommendation, so it's much easier to close as a deal. Yeah. And also what I realized with referrals, I have a much better time talking to them. You know, that makes sense. And of course, you know, this goes to what Yazan asked here as well. But you know, if you were not VC backed and you were bootstrapped, you know, then you'd want the extra money to reinvest, yeah, on new processes, on technologies, on innovation, or new people, and so on, right? So you do have need that cash flow to invest. And also, I think this is very important, because you can design a revenue growth system just for a market, right? You're selling in the Middle East at the moment, and you want to enter the US market, right? You can't just copy what you're doing and hope that it's going to sell, but you can design a revenue growth system just for the US market. Find those leads, you know, research them, find the ICP, the ideal customer profile, the companies that you want in your portfolio, pre-target them, right? Check your website if they're coming back, okay? And outreach to them and get appointments. And you're starting a new market. Yeah, we do this a lot for like software development companies that are in Eastern Europe that wants to open up to America. We do this for a lot of European companies that wants to start tackling the US, right? We do this a lot because they've been doing well, let's say in the German market or in the French market, but they don't have the workforce for the US market. They don't know how to tackle it. They come to us, and we start tackling the US market for them. Yeah. All right. So, I mean, I've said why lead research is important, but I did prepare these because, and I'm sad Nadine's not here. She would have been very proud of me because I prepared this for her to have even more. You'll see in a few of them, there's going to be a lot of, you know, text on step-by-step stuff, which I'll walk through some of them. Okay. And as I finish this, I think by the end of the month or so, because we still have our deep dive. So when I finish all that stuff, you're all going to have these amazing stuff for you. Okay. And then you'll be able to use these in your day-to-day lives. Okay. So let's just go back there. So, you know, so the importance of lead research, we know it's absolutely the first step, okay, to understanding who can you take the money of, right? These companies I can take the money of. Okay. That's very important. You are not a shop in the Grand Bazaar in Istanbul and hoping that people are passing by and like, hey, come buy my stuff, my friend. That's Turkey, Istanbul Grand Bazaar. But instead, you know that exactly these 10 people is the people that can buy your stuff. And in the Grand Bazaar, actually, they do that because they look if somebody has a nice watch. They look if he has nice shoes and a nice shirt. And they don't go, if I dress like a peasant and I start walking like a peasant, they're not going to go, hey, my friend, come, let me sell you something. No, they do have an ICP in their mind as well. They have an ideal customer profile in their mind. And actually, they do scan, they research the crowd for these people. I don't know if it's the best example, but you see what I mean. I do like to go to the silliest examples, as you know, because I think it's one of the best ways to understand something a bit more elegant and a bit more advanced than just the Grand Bazaar selling. But you're also gathering data. We do a lot of target addressable markets, and I hope you've done your some. Well, I forgot. Target addressable markets, service addressable market, and obtainable market. So as you do that, lead research it goes hand in hand with your market research, right? Because you're understanding there is 15,000 companies in the world I can serve. And that your VCs, I hope Yazan is still here. I don't see him in camera, but if Yazan is still here, that's very important because you can also show that to your investors. As Rizek was saying, if you do have, was it a path to profitability, right? And maybe today you have 50 customers of those 10,000 customers, but you're not profitable. And then you say, look, when I get 180 of these customers, I'm going to be profitable. And there is 10,000 companies out there that can have my product. That's a path to profitability. You're showing your market, and your investors would love you for that, because they're like, oh, you've done your research, you know exactly what you're doing, who you're targeting, where you're going to get, what's the potential of revenue that you have as well, right? And when you can prove that, and not just, oh, I know the market. No, this is the market, these are the numbers, these are the companies, these put a proper study on a document, and show that to people. Okay. That's kind of why also I think it's why it matters, but also by doing this you can also reduce costs, guys, because you are not just targeting 8 billion people out there, you're targeting the 10,000 companies and the people that work for these companies, right? So your efforts and your resources are very focused. Marketing teams were not focusing that much. Right, they create content, they're hoping the right people comes in, but the combination of lead research, marketing, and sales and all this stuff will give you a pinpointed crowd and group of people and companies that you want. Okay. Cool. Okay. Types of leads. I mean, your cold, warm leads. I think at some point I do have a formula for you as well that you can take as example, like a model. But you should really do say, okay, these are my cold leads, these are my warm leads, these are my very, very hot leads, and prioritize accordingly. Okay. Especially when you're VC backed, you do want to tackle your hot leads quickly, and the warm leads to get hot and so on, this type of stuff. Tools for lead research. I will add some tools here, but you have a lot of stuff like Apollo, Sales Navigator, I think is really good. Nobody knows how to use Sales Navigator. I still don't know it. I'm still learning it every day. It's much more advanced than we think of. I have a few guides that I'm preparing that I will publish on my website in the next couple months that are very, very pinpointed into amazing usage of Sales Navigator. Okay. Because I'm still learning it myself, as I mentioned. So, as soon as I learn it really well, I'm translating that into some guides and some processes and systems, and I'll share it with everybody in the world. And then, so I'll have an example here at some point as well, but let's really get into the strategies. Okay. So here, what I've done is really, I've kind of started to give some step-by-step guidance into each of these things that you're going to have for yourselves, but I'll walk you very quickly through them so you can take notes, think about them before you get the document. And I prefer that you think about it before you get the document, because then you can compare your thoughts with what I'm saying, right? Because you might have a complete new strategy that I haven't thought about. And I even would love to hear about those in the deep dives. So, we've kind of said it, but, I love where I'm saying here, developing a systematic approach to identify high quality prospects is essential for creating targeted marketing and sales strategies. Because the systematic approach is where we want to underline here. Okay. And again, it's the emphasis in finding leads that are more likely to convert, right? Not just hoping that leads come into us, but these are the leads that can convert. Okay. Again, so as I said, inbound and outbound. Okay. And this is a combination of those, as you've seen in the wheel. Okay. But we do know what inbound is. Is your content creation, is your SEO optimization, is your lead magnets, your ebooks and stuff, and hoping people come in. And then you have your outbound, right? Your targeted advertising, your cold outreach, and then your event engagement if you're going to certain events and so on. Yes, Yazan.
Just a quick question. To what extent can we use ChatGPT to create some sort of a sales kit tool to give to the salespeople, so they know what kind of questions they're gonna ask, the process, and at the same time, like to list competitors. So whenever I'm pitching to front of a potential customer, they ask me, what about X or Y or Z? We can have this booklet so that he can see it. I think it would be a good approach. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, if you want my thoughts, I'd invite you to go to TaskDrive's website and go to events and check out some of my webinars. I do them every 2 weeks, and I go crazy on ChatGPT. 90% of the things now I do is with ChatGPT, and I'll be honest with you, because it has changed my life. People in my company make fun. I'm the CEO, but they're allowed to make fun of me, and because we are quite friends with everybody. And they call it my best friend, and I call it my BFF as well. So ChatGPT is my BFF, my best friend forever. So I do 90%. I bet you a lot of these things that you see today has been reworded by ChatGPT, has been researched by ChatGPT. But the thing, Yazan, is that don't use ChatGPT on its own. Make sure that you have you do have certain things on top of it. And then you have the plugins and so on. I always get this error, which I hate it, but that's another topic. Come on. So as you can see, my ChatGPT is going to look very different than yours because I even have my own prompts here, right? So these are my own prompts. So I came to the own category. These are my own prompts. Okay. So I have sales pitch, LinkedIn bio that I do for clients or for friends, smart LinkedIn post creation from URL, live crawling. I put a URL of something I like, an article, a guide, or Rezek's last LinkedIn post. I can put it here and it'll crawl it and it'll give me a LinkedIn post for myself, right?
Those are published them, or
sorry?
Your own prompts are published as well?
Yes, a lot of them are. These two are public. I think these are not public. No, this is public, but it's on live crawling. So if you don't have AI PRM's elite plan, you can't see it. But this has been used 10,000 times, 10,600 times. This one has been used 2,900 times by people. They use it 2,895 times apparently. And yeah, I'm publishing more and more prompts, and you'll find them also on my website. You'll find them on TaskDrive website. And in 2 weeks, not next Wednesday, the Wednesday after, we have a marketing webinar for ChatGPT on AI Operator, the new company that we're starting. So yeah, again, I will share every prompt that I design and create. Just tell me what you need. An example is now I'm building these for my teams. Okay, so just one for now, but my HR team, right? They were taking a lot of time preparing 30, 60, 90-day plan for a new hire, right? But now they can just click on this, okay? Not here, but they'll click on the thing. I'm just going to show you the prompt itself. This is all prepared to ask a bunch of questions: 30-day, 60-day, 90-day, a continuous improvement. It has a lot of questions, okay, that it's going to ask you one by one. It's going to interview my HR one by one. And at the end of this quick interview with ChatGPT, you get an amazing 30, 69-day plan. Yeah. But you see the prompt is not a generic prompt whatsoever. You know, I've designed the prompt in exactly what we wanted to ask and what we wanted to output. Yeah.
Razak, I think we need to have some sort of a special training for that, with the ChatGPT.
Well, ask Razak maybe to add a deep dive just on ChatGPT engineering, and I'll be more than happy to provide it, because it's
We can do that, definitely.
Yeah, it's one of my biggest topic at the moment. So no worries. I'll do it with pleasure. Right. So I'm building this, you know, I'm building this for my for my management team, you know, when they have a problematic area, they can click this and it's going to ask you what's the problem area. Then it's going to ask you 3 questions. Then it's going to ask you when do you want to solve it by, and it's going to start giving you some solutions. So ChatGPT is not somebody that's going to do tasks for you. It's not just an assistant, but it's also your thought partner. I get stuck a lot in my own thoughts, because you will as well. We all get tunnel vision and we're stuck in here. But ChatGPT doesn't have that tunnel, because it has all this data and it has all the internet and stuff. And then suddenly it tells me, have you thought about this? And I'm like, wow, I haven't thought about that. Thank you, best friend. And I love you. You know,
Bard or ChatGPT, Tim?
Sorry?
Because would you suggest Bard or ChatGPT? Because ChatGPT, as you know, the latest update was 2022.
Yeah,
Meanwhile,
but
Bard is open.
if you have GPT-4, you can go on plugins and then you can open up this plugin, Web Pilot, and it's live web crawling.
Nice.
Yeah, this is Web Pilot is live web crawling. Yeah. Okay. And I have a lot of, you know, like if you want to do SEO stuff, you know, marketing and sales data, including domain information, company research, and search keyword research, ChatSpot. If you want to prepare your gym plan, you can go with PlanFit. Yeah, you know, there is SEO. There's a bunch of stuff that I like here, you know. So I do recommend ChatGPT. Bard, I don't know. I still couldn't, you know, I've tried it many times. It's getting better. It's getting much better. But I'm very, very, very impressed with what I got from ChatGPT, and I've put so much time into it now. That, as you can see, you know, I have my own prompts here. I'm building my company prompts, you know, and my company prompt, my people are able to also go to these prompts, and everybody can click on those prompts and do the work. Cool. Right. And I don't want to be sidetracked, but you know, the idea with these prompts and doing this type of stuff is to be able to, you know, outsource some 80% of your repetitive tasks. Yeah. And I'm doing this right now with my own team, so that 80% of their tasks can be done much faster and stuff. But at some point you can outsource them to people. Okay. And I mean, you know, if I open here, you know, you're going to see that I have every day, every month, I have a bunch of stuff, and I delete all the time. I clean, but I keep a bunch of stuff because I keep coming back to a lot of this stuff. You know, my TD marketing copy. If I'm going to do anything about marketing and task drive, I come back to the. If it's outreach, I come back to here. You know, I'm building a sales ebook, blah, 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 right? Everything is always here. Okay, my webinars are here. You know, Leticia, she's my executive assistant, actually, to help me think about stuff. She's my thought partner. If I'm stuck, I come here. And she's a coach, actually, sorry. All right, so I designed her as Leticia, and Leticia is my coach, you know, my business coach. So you can do this type of crazy stuff, and with this type of Chrome extensions, you're able to tap into also public prompts of many other people. Yeah, so it's a great stuff, to be honest. It really helps me a lot. Anyways, let's get, you know, so the answer to your question, 100%. You know, if you're not using ChatGPT every day at least an hour, you're losing. You know, because that hour of work might come up to be 3-4 hours of output.
Yeah, work smart rather than working hard. Absolutely.
Exactly. Yes.
Thank you.
But start creating your prompts, you know. And a lot of people were telling me, oh yeah, but it doesn't know me and stuff. But now the new editions has these custom instructions. Right. So the custom instructions, it asks me, what would you like ChatGPT to know about you to provide better responses? I say my whole life, you know, I'm in boardroom, blah, blah, blah. I was 21 years abroad. I'm the CEO of this. This is what I do. This is my goals. I love my family. I DJ. So I'm introducing myself to ChatGPT. So every time I don't have to do this. And here I joked, but if you see my ChatGPT calls me Tim da Boss, because it asks, how would you like ChatGPT to respond? And here I said, you can address me as Tim da Boss, right? So every time, look, just I'll say, what do you call me? Right? And every time you see this, you do this live, I'll call you Tim da Boss, right? So you can do these things nowadays as well. Maha, yes, please.
Yeah, hi, Tim. A question, since all these information you feed in about yourself by ChatGPT 4 and the rest, did they actually start initiating something that you can use them for marketing tools? Because they have all the info for all the things that you ask about, and all your info about you so is it already usable for marketing part as well?
Usable for marketing? I'm not sure if I understand, Maha. Is it them marketing to me or me marketing things to this?
I mean, since it's a platform where it has all the data about you and your behavior and everything, can you, instead of using, for example, AdRoll, can you actually shoot in and start advertising through ChatGPT or not yet?
Oh, that's an amazing question. Let's see if I'm going to answer this correctly. But in the past month, no, 2 months even, I have, I get about, let's say 10, 15 leads a week, right? That books calendar for sales. And from these 10 to 15 people, let's say 3 to 5 people, when we ask, where did you find us? It says ChatGPT. So what it's not a real marketing, but people ask, what's the best lead research company out there? What's the best sales company out there? And then in those top 5, ChatGPT says TaskDrive.
And how do you reach to be there?
Well, we don't know yet. That's
because you're interacting a lot with it, or is it because you're actually on Google or
yeah, I think there is a massive SEO Google thing, and somebody joked and it said now is AIEO, artificial intelligence engine optimization, right? So now the information has to be so straightforward that when it's scanned by these language models, right, and somebody asks a question of, say, what's the top sales enablement guide out there? And it goes, finds the guide that I've made at TaskDrive that is the top sales enablement guide. So there is no exact formula to it yet, Maha, or that I know of. But we are starting to see this. Yeah, it's more of a research tool, not a marketing tool. But it's awesome because that means the person who's searching for the top 5 sales enablement companies, they are already looking for the solution.
Maybe the next version of it will be this.
Well, I do believe they will at some point start advertisement somehow, right? But I hope, and I don't believe that they are going to do that, because they believe in open source and making sure everybody's is accessible to it. So I don't think you can fake it by putting money into it and advertising, I am the best. I don't think so. At the end of the day, is really via scanning the whole web and having some type of thought leadership, if that makes sense, because at TaskDrive, we've been around for 6+ years. We have a lot of great content where we do rank well on page 1 on a lot of keywords. We are on page 2, 3 on a lot more keywords. We're up there. So when people ask ChatGPT, it does mention us. A very interesting, Maha, very thought-provoking, because I've been thinking about this a lot myself. I'm like, how can we make this even better? But the idea right now is, even if you're doing new data, right, as Yazan said, it's 2021 June, if I'm not mistaken. But with plugins like web pilots and stuff, you're actually accessing the real data, right? So if I do open the web pilot, which is open, and I say, search for the best accelerator programs in the Middle East, you know, is actually should open up a search in a second. Yeah, here we go. So what it does, it actually searches for best accelerated programs in the Middle East on Google, gets all the pages, right? And it can actually tackle each page, and it will actually find me everything that is signed up there. Yeah. So you can also do this for your lead research. I mean, it's going to be a bit of a tangent, so I'm not going to go into it, but you can ask, you can say, what are the top 50 companies that are doing X, Y, Z, right? And that's your ICP, your ideal customer profile, and it will tell you the 50 companies. So if you use it well, it's more than an assistant. It's an amazing tool. Yeah. But again, yeah, please do check out my webinars, and there's more webinars. If you're not following me on LinkedIn, do it. If you're not on my newsletter, do it, because I announce all this stuff there, you know. And again, everything that I share on these is all free. It's just for you to learn and go do things about it. Cool. As we don't have much time, let's get back into our topic. But I love this. It was a good tangent because I think it's very important for revenue growth, and that's why I was happy to show you ChatGPT, because I think that as Yazan said and Maha asked, you guys can do a lot of things in marketing and sales with it. So, you know, using data for lead research, you're going to know this, but, you know, make sure you're collecting the data, like the example data that Maha asked me. You know, I do have a box that says, where did you find us? And I start seeing ChatGPT, and I was like, is it ChatGPT webinar? I wasn't sure if it's from my webinar. And then I went on a sales call with the person. I said, you mentioned ChatGPT, but was it through a ChatGPT webinar? And they're like, no, I've asked ChatGPT the best sales tools. I was like, oh, wow, okay, great. You know, so actually finding out the data and gathering real proper data of, you know, the sources and stuff. You know, and that's going to be important for segmenting your data so you can really customize the messaging. Okay, you want to tailor the messaging and offers based on the segmented data. Data analysis and stuff I'm not going to really get into. You can have access to these, but also it's to personalize. If you do have a bunch of data points about someone, it's going to be much easier for you to personalize your campaigns and your messaging and your outbound, your outreach, and so on, right? And there is many other things that I think data is going to help you on, you know, the data for lead research. Okay. On the lead scoring, which I'm going to show you because I think that's important. That's one of the topics we should tackle before we finish, and so on. Okay, you're going to have access to these soonish, don't worry. But yeah, so lead scoring methods. Okay, we all get leads, right? You should have a system to be able to score your leads. Okay, and you know, it could be like, let's look at it. Okay, you can start with defining it, like simple stuff that we mentioned: age, location, industry, role. But then you can also get into behaviors, website visits, email engagement, event attendance, you know, webinar attendance and stuff. Then you can look at more engagement on social media activity, content downloads, product trials. And then we have what we call the BANTS criteria: the budget, authority, need, and timeline. Okay, if the company has the budget, if the person has the authority of making the decision, do they have the needs, and is there a timeline that we think is realistic? Okay, and then you assign points for each criteria, right? High engagement is +10, relevant industries +5, low budget, small companies -5, right? According to that, you can create your own lead scoring methodology, and with your lead scoring methodology, you can really prioritize your efforts, right? And if you don't have that now, who has the lead scoring methodology? Nobody. Anybody that is not on video that has a lead scoring methodology, you can put it on the chat. I'm monitoring the chat. Anybody has a lead scoring methodology? Uh-oh. We're in trouble. All right. Okay, so one of your homeworks, because I know in the feedbacks you give about the prior sessions, you like that I give you homework or things to do extra outside the work. So thank you for the feedback. Please keep the feedback coming. So one of your homeworks should be then to start planning for a lead scoring methodology. Yeah, for a model. Okay. It's not going to be manual. You can build this You can build okay, on B2C you can also do that. On B2C you can say how many times did they order a box, is it, you know, if you're selling food boxes, I'm guessing, right? So how many of them they ordered, what was the last time they ordered? If it was before 3 months, maybe you reduce points, or maybe you say no, I'm going to give more points because they have more chance to buy again, right? You could also give them points in visiting your website, or you know, you might have recipes that are downloadable, right? And they download 10 recipes. If they download 10 recipes, they get 10 points. If they download 100 recipes, they get more points, right? Or they don't download any recipes, they don't get those points, okay? Because then what you're gonna see is you know, Tim he's a consumer, he's ordered 2 boxes, he's downloaded 10 recipes, he keeps coming to your site, he's engaged with your social media. You know that I am much more important for you, right? I'm a higher lead, I'm a higher scored lead, you know. So it does work for B2C as well, you know. In B2B it's a little bit more relevant, I think, because you can put your efforts of resource, of human resource, sales and stuff into a better place. But even in marketing, you can also do that, because then you can say, you can even say, I'm going to send campaigns to 90+ point people. You know, you could say that you're giving them a coupon, and you're not giving coupon to the people that are not scored that high. You know, you can do this type of stuff. Okay, so your homework, right, it's to understand what is a hot lead, what is a warm lead, what is a cold lead. Okay, what's the above, you know, warm leads 50 require nurturing, low priority, ready for sales engagement, and so on. And then start putting a model of scoring. If you can't score it yet on automation in your CRM, that's okay. We can even look at that in the deep dive if you want. Okay, but this is a really good way to do that, because then you can build this into your, you know, Salesforce or HubSpot or whatever you're using. And then you can have continuous updates every week or every day, even say, oh, here is a 90+ pointed lead, you know, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna spend some extra time today before going home or before closing my computer, because these people have scored over 90 on my lead scoring. Okay, they're hot. You know, if I strike them now, you know, I'm gonna be able to mold the metal, right? But if not, it's gonna cool down. Okay, so this type of thinking is very important in lead scoring. Yeah, everybody okay with homework? Yeah, this is going to be very, very relevant for you guys, and you do it on your custom way, and I'm sure that it's going to be great. Awesome. So that's really your lead research. I'm going to speed up a little bit. So pre-targeting, as I mentioned, okay, you're going to have it here as well. It's about showing the ads, you know, making sure that you can research the market and then show the ads to the right people, to the right companies or the right areas and so on, so that they start knowing about your brands. Okay. And it's not just advertisement, it's pre-targeting them, because you are going to do something else with them, which is outreach. Okay, you're warming them up. You're not just waiting for them to come back and sign up on your website or do a form. You are going to reach out to them because they are the right people. Don't forget that. Let me see if there is more things I want to show you here very quickly. Yeah, there's a lot of tools for pre-targeting. I mentioned AdRoll and stuff, but you can also start pre-targeting people with marketing automation softwares. Social media is some type of pre-targeting, of course, don't forget. I'm coming to you in a second, Maha. And then CRMs, of course, and so on. You'll have all this stuff. We will tackle all these together in deep dives. Okay, let me get Maha's question.
Yes, I'm just asking, some use the tool, the marketing, where they start a teaser, maybe just put without the name, the logo and some parts of it, and build it up. Is this an effective way, in your opinion, or not?
I am not sure I understand you, Maha. Sorry, can you repeat?
Like, for example, if for Majliscom, I want to start putting it in the heads of people and start shooting marketing ads or whatever. So some use, like, for example, put like, instead of 4 cubes, they start one campaign by 1 cube, and the other, and then form the full logo, and then write down the name of Majliscom, for example. So
Yeah. I now I understand. Sorry, thank you.
is this useful thing or not in general?
So I think if you had millions and maybe $1 billion budget, yeah, do the broken logo and you're gonna be a huge thing and you're gonna suddenly be a Formula One sponsor and stuff like that. Great, But if you're not gonna go to those heights, I wouldn't do that. But the one thing that I would do, if you do believe that you have a mission that is very important, just the mission as a text.
Okay.
That could be very interesting without a logo, without your colors, without anything, but the mission, and they're like, and because people can relate to that, be like, oh, wow, I love that mission. I've had this years in my life, and they'll click even on it. They'll try to find who's advertising this mission, right? That's a beautiful way to do it, in my opinion. But a quarter of your logo, nobody cares about your logo, right? They don't know, but they will care about your mission. That could be an attachment to them.
That sounds good.
Yeah, hope that helps. Thank you. Yeah, that was very, very, very interesting questions. I like how you're thinking. Awesome. So pre-targeting, I think you guys understand it, right? So warm up those people. You'll have all this stuff. So we spoke about website visitors conversion a little bit, or identifying the website visitors, but also, I still find a lot of websites with really, 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 really bad UX, UI, right? It's very hard to find where to contact you. It's very hard to find where to sign up or how to sign up. You need to get rid of those, right? And it's very important to be able to start, thinking about your, which we spoke about loops, and I'm going to funnels now, okay? Because the website could be a bit more of a funnely kind of thing. That's what I mentioned here, but and we've said it, and I'm going to say it again because I think it's super important. Map your customer journey. Okay, make sure that you know exactly how does people find you from the ads that is about your mission. Where does that go, right? And what's the next step? Where can they click? If they click here, what happens, and so on? And how do they sign up? How do they pay? And what do they receive? It's very, very important. So do that. Absolutely, because you can also understand if you have the right content at each stage or not, and so on. So this is going to start really your conversion on your website, but also, it's about really, the stages, where are they, where the interest, desire, the action, the IDA that you potentially all know, old school marketing, which still works really well. And you'll understand with the friction audit that I've shown you also in product-led growth about how to optimize things, how to optimize your site, how to optimize the touch points and so on. There's a bunch of tools like heat maps to understand visitor interactions, but also, as I mentioned, many other tools to understand who are visiting your website. But when I say who, is more the company, okay, not the person. Don't forget. All right. So very important, again, there, we've always been talking about A/B testing, and I know that a lot of you is going to tell me, oh, if I'm B2B, I don't have 50,000 traffic, is A/B testing still good for me? I still find A/B testing quite relevant, even when I'm testing, a campaign of an outreach campaign of 100 people, 100 A, 100 B, you'll still see some patterns, right? And then you can test that the winning pattern with another pattern, see if it's still winning, and so on. So don't worry about doing the old school, not old school, I don't want to call it old school, but the A/B testing of big marketeers on performance marketing, on sites and ads and buttons. Don't worry about too much about that, but you can test messaging, you can test paths, a customer journey paths, and so on. 1 second. Yes, Maha.
Sorry, I keep asking anything that comes to mind.
No, please. I love questions.
Okay. You know where sometimes we do focus groups, not only to get to brainstorm with people, but also to use them to interact with others and like do some marketing for you as well, or be the model or the example. How can you do that online without actually having people in a room with the focus group?
On focus groups, yeah, absolutely. I think we did were you here for product-led growth? I think we did touch upon that topic, but it's Were you here, Maha?
I don't remember that part if I was on that session.
Okay, yeah. So you know, it's about your qualitative and quantitative research, isn't it? And you will have again surveys, forums. You can also do interviews, right? So you don't have to. The focus group doesn't have to be in the office with you, but it could also be online, right? You could also, if you have a physical product, you can send them the physical product, tell them to film themselves, and that you're gonna give them a gift. I met this company. They're selling what was it, portable screens. Yeah, the screen is really it's like a little closed thing, and then you open it and it's a screen, you know, but it's from material and it has a little bulb behind it or whatever. And I said, and he said, well, yeah, we do demos and trials. I was like, how do you do trials? I was very impressed. He said, yeah, we send it to the client, to the potential client. They have 14 days to return it. And if they return in 14 days, they get their money, right? They don't actually give the whole money neither. They just give certain amount of money to hold the product. And in 14 days, they have to send it back in the box that they send inside it and stuff, and with the stickers and stuff like that. And then while they're testing it, they have a questionnaire and they fill out the questionnaire, right? And apparently a lot of people then don't send it back and says, I want to keep it, you know, because it's great.
Tim, that's on a product base rather than
Yes.
a service.
Yes. So in a service, it's a bit more difficult, of course, but in a service, you still need them to experience the service. If you can give them the service without taking a lot of money or even for free, but you expect something back. Because a focus group, how are you gonna do a service on a focus group? You're gonna bring them to a room and you're gonna give them the service. How can you translate that into a virtual environment?
Well, maybe the only way is basically to give testimonials from your actual users rather than the ones that just sit in a group and a focus group. Because if they haven't used it, how are they going to reach for it?
Yeah, well, anyways, the focus group, you wouldn't use a focus group to get testimonials. You'll get focus group to get innovation, to understand if the product is good or the service is good, or to optimize. Yeah. So not sure if that helps now.
Yeah. I got you.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. I mean, it's difficult. It's difficult, and you know, times have changed. I think in product-led growth, we showed the test driving the car and the perfume. You know, when you go to a cosmetic place and people perfume you, and you can
remember that.
Yeah, exactly. So how do you do that in a virtual environment? You know, we have to find a way. Luckily, you're not selling perfume, I think. So you know, so you can find a way to do it. But you know, boxe, you know, they have to send a box, right? If you're gonna cook, or they have to give a recipe, and then the people has to do it themselves. You know, you have to innovate on how people are testing.
You can show the impact of perfume afterwards on somebody without actually sending the scent.
Yeah, you could. Yeah. If you take a video of you know, of somebody actually using it outdoor, and then the lady has a lot of people running after her. Oh, this is the perfume. Yeah. But then that becomes a Dior advertisement, right? Is the classic ads that we see anyways of Armani and Dior. It's always that. Sahar, yes.
I just want to elaborate on what Maha have been saying about the focus groups. We've created a focus group before because we wanted to understand how our product is important for university students. So we gathered them in a forum, and we let them cook our boxes, and then we sat together and understand a little bit more. Now we're trying to get more insight on our customers in Saudi Arabia. It have been a very big struggle to find people to connect with us online. So I'm going to travel to do with these interviews over there in person to gather so it could be done online for the interviews and so, but it's a bit hard to have people interested to join and jump in to do these interviews in online rather in person.
100%. Thanks for the explanation. And you know, when you talk about you know, the six senses, you know, the one thing that we can give online easy is visual, is the eyesight, right? But the smell, you know, the taste, we can't. Okay, the audio we can as well, the hearing we can, but some of the senses with food is about the smell and the taste. right? You cannot give that online yet, yet. Let's see what happens with technology very soon, but you can't do that yet, right? I'm sure there's going to be some crazy stuff that we're going to have machines that are going to do smells, because I know there was they did a conference or an event that had these different liquid senses of smells that could create different senses of different places in the world. So something is coming, right? But what you said, there was two things in what you said, and I don't think you should combine the two things. The one thing was innovating about, if my product is good, how can we do it better, and so on. And the other one is really understanding who wants my products. I think that they're two different things. And if you try to combine them, your goal about the session is going to be a little bit like, oh shit, did I answer my questions, right? So, or you're innovating your product. Does my product taste good? What can it be done better? And then you can even go to a group with different foods that is not even in your box and be like, do you like this? Do you like this recipe? Or can you download these recipes, do it at home, and tell me what you like about them, right? Then you're understanding the people. It's not about innovating your own product, but it's understanding your ICP, your ideal customer profile, right? And the other one is innovating your product, if that makes sense.
It is in two different markets. So the first one, the one we were testing the products were in the Jordanian market. We're already running and operating. But the other one, because we are still understanding the other market and we're trying to figure out the customers that we are capturing. So yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, perfect. That's good. But with something like yours, I mean, I'm gonna say it's easy. It's not easy, but it's obvious. You need a lot of money, a lot of product to give for free. That's
Yes.
about it. That's about it. Because we had what was it? What were they called? The big UK one, Recipe Box, or what was it? I forgot now. There's
HelloFresh, Blue Apron.
Yeah, HelloFresh. I used to do Able and Cole. I don't know if you know Able and Cole. Check them out. They had amazing boxes. When I was in London back in the day, long time ago, I was in Able and Cole. I had 3 recipes. The spices was even measured and everything was ready. And you just put them together, and I was collecting the recipe in this little folder, and I loved it because I could do it myself later and stuff like that. And you were learning these recipes, and how did you get to these? Is that in places that you went, you had it for free. You'd go to a market and there was a stand, and they'll be like, here, take a box for free. Take a recipe for free. And because if you believe in the smell and the taste, and it's going to be good, you just need people to taste it once. Yeah. But you need the budget. But you need that is difficult. Or in places like Saudi Arabia, in a university, if you're saying, you speak to the canteen and you say, hey, today the lunch is going to be by us. We're gifting you the lunch for every student today. Right? And you cook big of your recipes, huge, and you keep giving the food, and you put your advertisements everywhere and stuff like that. And then you say, hey, if you want this at home in your mail that arrives, as a box, and then you can cook it, here's my thing, scan the QR code, and so on, right? But again, you have to, as you said, physically go there.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Sadly.
No, I love it there. By the way, I've been born over there for a long time, so yeah.
But it's going somewhere that is, like I prefer to do business from my office. Now that I have my AC as well, I don't want to go anywhere. But the idea, I think, as well, is you can do a lot of great content, by the way, on Instagram, on TikTok, of cooking these recipes and how did you come up with these recipes and stuff like that. And people are doing this so visual nowadays that you see the colors of the tomatoes, and the person goes, and you can see the emotions of the person doing that. And you're like, oh, I want to taste that. Right? And if you want to taste that, can you get a box for $1 for your first box? If you're a subscription, you can say the first month is $1.
Yeah.
But if you don't cancel, the next month is the $30. And I think this is what HelloFresh or somebody was doing in the UK. Your first box was $1, and automatically you were subscribed to the next month of $30. And a lot of people didn't cancel because they loved it. Some people forgot and they were like, oh, let me cancel, but they got the second box. But also a lot of people were like, okay, I don't like it. That's all right. But at least you had that taster for $1, and you knew that people could pay You got their subscription details, you got their credit cards, and you've already subscribed them.
Yes, of course.
You know, so there's a bunch of techniques that I think can be done. You know, I love experimentation. So experiment, you know, put boxes somewhere, do great content, give it for $1, you know, and see what people do. Yeah.
True.
Awesome.
Yes.
Good stuff. Yeah, I love experimenting. So go ahead. We're over time, so I'm gonna go quick. But you know, you're gonna get all these things as I mentioned to you. They are very, very relevant. As I mentioned, there's gonna be, you know, in everything there's a bunch of stuff like this. So as soon as I finish it, which is I think is almost there. But I promised Nadine to redo all of the other ones to make him really nice things for you guys to be actionable. So you will receive these. But on personalization, you know, I think personalization is crucial. If you're personalizing, saying, you know, I love your work at Task Drive and you're the CEO, you've done great things. That's not personalization. But if you send me a message, say, hey, Tim, I saw your last webinar about ChatGPT and I can see you're an avid fan of ChatGPT. Can we chat? Because I love it as well. You found something that I'm going to answer to, right? So personalization has to be really, really, really relevant and very good. And for this, what I recommend is the 5-5-5. Take 5 minutes to find 5 facts about someone, and then take 5 minutes to write a message. Okay. This is going to be available also on my blog very soon. That's personalization. Okay. And then you'll see that there are also tools like ChatGPT, tools like sales tools that has AI, and then you can add a couple of facts and it will personalize the message. You can even find the facts, automatically scrape them, and then personalize it. But please do find the facts. The fact is not about I'm working as the CEO at this company. That is not a fact. You know, that is a fact, but I don't care. That's not a personal message to me. Yeah, does that make sense? Cool. Measuring everything matters. You're gonna have it all on this. Okay. KPIs to measure the inbound, the outbound, the revenue growth system. Okay. All right, very quickly, you know, it is critical for your long-term success. Okay, lead research, don't forget pre-targeting, website conversion, personalized outreach. Okay, and measure everything you're doing. This is it. This is the summary. It sounds simple. It's not simple. As you've seen in many areas of the presentation, you're gonna have step-by-step guidance and stuff like that on taking this on board for you guys, you know. But I've given you a little bit of homework already, okay? But your next steps and action items for yourselves, okay, is to take what you've learned today into practice, okay? So how can you do research? Who are you going to research? What are these companies? Who are the CEOs or whoever you're targeting these companies? Understanding your ideal customer profile, your target addressable market, right? And then being able to understand where can you advertise, which ads can you show to whom, segmenting, okay? Then if you do want to do some website visitor identification, how are you going to do it? Okay, there's a bunch of tools. If you don't do it, that's fine as well. Okay, but who you're outreaching, how you're outreaching, what's your messaging, what are you testing, and so on. Okay, this is very important stuff. Okay, and according to that, please do think about your average revenue per account, because you want to make sure you have the return on investment. Because if you put a lot of efforts into outbound outreach and you're putting real people, they cost salaries. Okay, and if they're bringing just subscriptions of $25, you don't want to do that. You just want to do a lot of content and hope for the best inbound, right? And SEO. Okay, we're gonna have a Q&A, but I think we've done a bunch of Q&A as we went. Okay, but if there's any other questions, I'll be more than happy to take it. And as mentioned, you will have all these with all these little gadgets and you know, the little steps and you know what to do and so on. And I'll give some more examples, add some more visuals. But this is something that I'm preparing for all of you, and I will actually use this for myself as well, though. So I'm very happy to be doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tim.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I think we're a bit over time.
A little bit.
A little
But if
bit.
you have time,
over
I can
time.
take questions. If there's any questions, I'm more than happy to take it. I don't have a meeting right now.
Yeah, so guys, please feel free to leave. And if any of you wants to ask any question, please feel free to stay and ask them. With that, I'll be ending the recording and see you in the next masterclass session.
Thank you.
I will